Gloria Garza totally shocked when her dad's unit escorted her to her high school graduation. And then they even gave her a badge with his number to wear around her neck. Gloria's dad was killed in the line of duty when she was just 3 years old. And now the bad. Better hope your package wasn't in there. Look at this UPS truck. Wow, bursting into flames in the driveway of a home in Pennsylvania. The driver had just stepped out to make a delivery. The flames ignited in the back. That's where the packages are, but it's unclear exactly what triggered that explosion. The packages inside all destroyed, but everyone else was okay. And finally, the ugly. A sunglass-wearing alpaca is going viral. The fuzzy guy named Cordon Bleu is the epitome of cool, calmly posing with visitors who are flocking to his farm to snap a selfie with him. That's not bad, at least as long as he doesn't turn around and spit at him. That wraps up this hour of Fox and Friends First. Thank you so much for joining us. Fox and Friends First continues right now. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Hello, California. Are we ready for a Republican governor? Yes. We put a businessman in the White House. Let's put a businessman in the governor's mansion, huh? Yes.
It is Wednesday, June 6th. While you were sleeping, a Trump bump in California, giving a Republican a path to becoming governor. The election results pouring in overnight.
We have a lot of important work to do. It's necessary for us to be here in August and to do our work.
Cancel your summer plans. We are staying in session. That message to the Senate as Mitch McConnell cuts recess from 4 weeks down to 1. Why Democrats are slamming this move as a way to hurt them in the midterms.
And say goodbye to swimsuits. The major makeover for Miss America. Fox and Friends First continues right now.
That's one I haven't heard in a while. When was the last time you heard that song?
That's pretty.
It's been a minute. That is a pretty shot. Looking south. Maybe looking north. Looking into Midtown. It's hard to figure. On these camera shots, I got to figure out where they are. That's Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah, it's looking at Manhattan. That's what we know.
We definitely know that. Good morning to you. You're watching Fox and Friends First on this Wednesday morning. I'm Rob Schmidt.
And I'm Jillian Mealy. Thank you so much for starting your day with us. Results pouring in from 8 state primaries this morning, but all eyes on California with the gubernatorial seat up for grabs and both parties hoping to flip crucial House seats in November.
Let's get right to Griff Jenkins live in Washington to break it all down for us. Hey, Griff.
Hey, Rob and Julian, it was an exciting night, and you know they call California the jungle because there are so many candidates in crowded fields where the top two advance regardless of party, and nowhere was it more fierce than in that gubernatorial race. Now, this is the state where Democrats hope to shape the battlefield, but the GOP would not be denied. Democrat Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom easily cruised to advance to the general election, putting President Trump front and center.
Voters will have a real choice this November between a governor who's going to stand up to Donald Trump and a foot soldier in his war on California. Mark my words, I've never backed down from a fight.
But Republican John Cox, who the president endorsed, kept the GOP from being shut out.
Mr. Newsom made it clear that he wanted to run against me instead of another Democrat. Be careful, Mr. Newsom. Be careful for what you wish for. Let's send him the very first message, and that is it wasn't Donald Trump who made California the highest tax state in the country. It was Gavin Newsom and the Democrats.
And Democrat hopes of riding a blue wave in California to retake the House majority are in question at this hour, with some races too close to call. Remember, Democrats need to pick up 23 seats nationwide to regain control. And nowhere do Democrats have a better shot than in the 7 California Republican-held seats where Clinton won in 2016. But Democrats might get boxed out if Republicans win the top 2 spots. For example, in California's 48th, incumbent Dana Rohrabacher easily won first with roughly 30%, but 2 favored Democrats Democrats are in a dogfight with a Republican running neck to neck. We'll see what happens there. But it wasn't just California. Voters in 7 other states cast ballots, including Alabama, Iowa, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Among some notable outcomes, incumbent Democrat Senator Bob Menendez held on despite his recent trials. And in Montana, incumbent Democrat John Tester will face Republican state auditor in a close, vulnerable race. We'll see what happens, guys.
All right. Thank you very much, Griff.
All right, with this top 2 format, there's a Republican gubernatorial candidate on the ballot in California. So is it fair to say that the president's message is resonating with voters on the deep blue West Coast?
Brad Parscale, the campaign manager for President Trump's re-election bid, says the American people can see the impact this administration is making, despite what some in the media say.
The data's never looked better for the president. I don't say that. Articles are written that I say that just to make him happy. It's just not true. I mean, we've run the largest data operation survey work in the country, and we see that America is starting to see that their personal economies are getting better, national security is getting better, the things that are around there are happening. And I think they're starting to see these accomplishments. As much as the media doesn't want, outside of a couple stations and a couple people, how much they don't want to talk about the accomplishments, they're starting to get through.
Singapore's Capella Hotel is set to make history. The luxury resort will play host to President Trump's June 12th summit with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Trump is expected to stay at the hotel, which sits on a secluded island that once served as a pirate hideout. The summit's set to have a surprise guest, Basketball Hall of Famer Dennis Rodman. The New York Post reports the friend of Kim Jong-un could even play a role in the talks. We'll keep you posted there. Chinese tech giant ZTE could soon be back in business. Reuters reporting the Trump administration reached a preliminary agreement with the company, lifting its ban on buying American supplies. The U.S. slapped a 7-year ban on the company in April after it violated sanctions by doing business with Iran and North Korea. The company will reportedly pay more than $1 billion in fines.
Philadelphia Eagles head coach Doug Peterson expected to address his team's canceled White House visit today. The White House calling the entire thing a political stunt over the national anthem protests after just a small number of players intended to show up at the last minute. The NFL recently instituted a new rule forcing players to stand during the anthem or to stay in the locker room. But that doesn't fly for the president. He tweeted, quote, "Staying in the locker room for the playing of our national anthem is as disrespectful to our country as kneeling. Sorry." The White House hosting an event yesterday honoring the flag instead of those few Philadelphia Eagles. The White House is setting the record straight. Counselor to the president, Kellyanne Conway, says the president has always been clear on his respect for the anthem.
The president could not be more clear on his position on the national anthem. He's made a very simple request that he thinks people should stand for the flag. And before people yell and say, everybody did stand for the flag, nobody took a knee last year, that's not what this particular incident was about. This was a decision the president made based on how this particular event was handled, not based on what happened last season. And may I remind everyone, it is the NFL, not the White House and not the president, who came out with a brand new policy that governs what its players will do. That's between the NFL and its ball clubs and its players. And they came out with a policy last month that perhaps some of the players on different teams don't like.
Probably not the end of that conversation. Acting ICE Director Thomas Homan defending the zero-tolerance policy at our nation's borders.
Those who choose to violate the law and come between the ports of entry are committing a crime. It's sad to see the children cry when you take a parent out of the home. But because it's sad doesn't mean we ignore the law. I can't blame anybody for wanting to be a part of the greatest country on earth. But there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it.
Homan's response stemming from backlash on ICE's policy of separating parents and children caught illegally crossing the border. This comes as officials plan to tour 3 military bases in Texas to see if they are suitable to house the 11,000 unaccompanied migrant children currently in the U.S.
The ousted deputy director of the FBI wants to trade his testimony for immunity. An attorney for Andrew McCabe asking the Senate for protection against possible prosecution ahead of the congressional hearing on the handling of the Clinton email investigation. McCabe was fired over allegations that he leaked to the media and then lied about that. And we're now learning that FBI agent Peter Strzok played a much larger role in the Clinton probe than originally thought. The FBI espionage chief, detailing his work in a closed-door meeting on Capitol Hill, Strzok was demoted over anti-Trump texts sent to a co-worker and lover. We get into more on this with the judge later in the show.
President Trump praising Mitch McConnell for keeping the Senate in Washington this summer, tweeting, quote, Mitch McConnell announced he will cancel the Senate's August recess. Great. Maybe the Democrats will finally get something done other than their acceptance of high crime and high taxes. We need border security.
Lauren Blanchard has more on the Senate Majority Leader's decision to skip recess.
It's necessary for us to be here in August and to do our work.
The point of skipping recess, according to McConnell, is to force Congress to tackle spending bills and pass the president's nominees. Others say it's to keep Democrats up for re-election from campaigning back home during August.
He thinks that's going to make a difference on elections where there are Democratic incumbents. But at the end of the day, he's mistaken.
Republicans only hold a slim majority in the Senate. While there have been mixed reviews on Capitol Hill, Senate Democratic Minority Leader Chuck Schumer trying to turn the tables.
And we are going to make sure all the time, every day, every week that we're here, we're going to be focusing on health care.
While others say it's necessary because Congress still needs to pass spending bills before the end of the fiscal year.
One of the most important functions Congress has is funding our government. If we can't get that done, we shouldn't be going on vacation.
Typically, when people smell jet fumes, they find a way to be a little more cooperative.
The White House applauding the decision.
There's a long to-do list, including important nominations and appropriations bills that we hope they can get taken care of.
Some are wondering if the House will also be staying in town. They have no plans to do so yet. And Senator Schumer asking if it means the president won't be traveling to his states in Florida and New Jersey. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
All right, the president keeping a promise to take care of our nation's heroes.
That's right. President Trump will sign the VA Mission Act into law today, overhauling treatment options for veterans. Iraq War veteran Dan Caldwell joined us earlier to react.
This bill will give veterans more health care choice. This was one of the president's biggest promises, and he's keeping it by signing this bill today.
The VA Mission Act provides over $5 billion to expand private care choices and consolidate 7 existing care options into one.
It is 11 minutes after the hour. Decision day tomorrow is the deadline for Republicans to force a vote on a series of immigration bills. With just 3 votes short, will they pull it off? Our next guest, an immigration expert, says it's time for Congress to step up.
Also, illegal immigrant crackdown, the massive ICE raid busting more than 100 illegal immigrants working at a business in Ohio.
Stealing the show, the 5-year-old who broke out her best dance moves on the graduation stage, a video that will make your morning. Good morning and welcome back. The head of the House Democratic Caucus, is taking aim at ICE Director Tom Homan for speaking at an event hosted by the Center of Immigration Studies. Because according to Congressman Joe Crowley, they're, quote, a racist anti-immigrant hate group with a long track record of demonizing immigrants.
Jessica Vaughn is the Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies, and she joins us this morning with her response to Congressman Crowley. And go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning. Well,
Good morning.
These are false and malicious smears that people are levying at my organization and others who speak out on behalf of enforcement that protects Americans and everybody who's in this country and preserves the integrity of our legal immigration system. They're interested in making political points and raising money off of these allegations, but they're completely false and a distraction from a serious debate that we need to have over this issue that's facing our country. And that's what we invited Tom Homan to talk about. And and he went through a whole series of things that Congress needs to fix and policies that are out there that make it harder to enforce immigration laws and that make it dangerous for ICE officers to do their important work. So we had a great discussion despite the accusations.
Well, and Crowley did ask Tom Homan to cancel his plans to attend and speak there, and Congressman Joe Crowley sent out a tweet blasting Tom Homan, saying, quote, "It's disqualifying for a public servant entrusted with protecting our safety to legitimize a group that spreads white supremacist and anti-Semitic views. ICE Director Homan must cancel his planned address to the Center for Immigration Studies." Let me ask you something. What are those views that you're spreading? What are the viewpoints?
Well, we think that it's important to have more immigration enforcement, border security, a strong legal immigration system at a level that works for Americans, which is reductions in legal immigration. We want an immigration policy that serves the national interest, not the special interests that have been driving immigration law and policy for so long that benefit only narrow interest groups and people who are out for personal gain.
All right, let's move on to another topic here. We've got this pending immigration vote. We've got a lot of Republicans in blue states, very moderate, that have been pushing for this. These are pro-DACA deal Republicans trying to get this vote in, and they're very close to the magic 218 number. They're just 3 off to get this thing to happen. What do you expect a deal from this group to look like if this goes through?
Well, what we're hearing is that they are pretty likely to get to the magic number to force this crazy scenario of what they call Queen of the Hill proposal, which is set up to bring about a series of votes on different pieces of legislation, only one of which really would accomplish what is needed for to bring our immigration system back into balance. We need asylum reform, we need sanctuary policies fixed, we need E-Verify, we need to moderate chain migration, and that's the Goodlatte bill, but this process is rigged to either pass an amnesty, a big amnesty for Dreamers without any offsetting measures or any improvements in border security. There's another bill that's put out by Representatives Hurd and Denham that provides only token border security, not the wall or anything else that's needed, in addition to a big amnesty. And this wild card bill that the leadership would put forward, that we have no idea what's in it, but probably would not accomplish everything that needs to be accomplished. And this is a crazy thing to be doing going into the election season. I mean, voters put President Trump in office to address these serious immigration problems, and they expect Congress to do the same. And to have these kind of stunts that could result in inadequate legislation is not going to work.
The Democrats would have the upper hand in these negotiations in its current format. All right. Thank you, Jessica,
absolutely,
so much.
The Democrats win.
All right. Thank you very much. And also to note, it is rare. There have only been 2 successful discharge petition efforts in the House in the last 16 years. So we'll certainly be watching. Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
20 minutes after the hour, the death of a well-known fashion designer, tributes pouring in for Kate Spade. And we just found out what was inside that heartbreaking suicide note written to her 13-year-old daughter.
And Miss America making a major change to the annual competition. Carly Shimkus here with the reaction online as the organization says so long to swimsuits. Morning. Miss America getting a major makeover.
That's right. The organization announcing the annual competition is scrapping its swimsuit round and will no longer judge contestants based on their looks.
Carly Shimkus with Fox News Headlines, 24/7 Sirius XM 115. Here with the reaction online. I'm curious what people are saying.
Yeah, the iconic pageant is getting a facelift, doing away with both the swimsuit and evening gown portions. Now, in place of the swimsuit part, contestants will take place in a live interactive session with judges judges. As for ball gowns, they can now wear outfits that best represent their style. And while some people are pleased with this new phase of the pageant, others aren't convinced. Lee on Twitter says 2018 is the year that political correctness killed both the Miss America pageant and the Boy Scouts. But Aisha says one day in the near future, our daughters are going to say women walked across a stage in a bikini to have people post scores about their body on TV. For real? But Brianne says, I can see why they took it out. I know a lot of contestants who feel empowered by that phase of competition, but I also know a lot of contestants who don't really like it. I think it's a good step forward for Miss America. I hope they replace it with a physical fitness number. So there you have it. I could see why they would take out the swimsuit part, but the ball gowns, that's what pageants are all about. The big gowns, the crown.
I can definitely see both sides of this one.
Yeah,
for sure.
I hear you. Show both sides, yeah.
All right, so IHOP is changing its name?
Oh, pancakes are not the only thing IHOP is flipping. The company says they are changing their name, flipping the P to a B. They are now going to be called IHOB, and we will learn what that B stands for on June 11th. Guesses as to what said B stands for are pouring in on social media. Daphne says 100% International House of Barbecue. It's going to be barbecued pancakes. Gross. Another Twitter user says burritos. I called it for years. And Jonathan says obviously it stands for breakfast. Yeah. I think it stands for breakfast too. I want it though to stand for butter.
Butter would work. Also,
bacon.
Kim in the booth says bacon. She's saying bacon. It could be bacon. Although do they push a lot of bacon at IHOP? I don't even know.
I don't know. I think it's going to be breakfast.
But an International House of Bacon would be nice.
Put some butter on that pancakes on the bacon. Oh, baby.
Oh, man. You're making me hungry, Carly. All right, let's talk about this 5-year-old kid. This is funny.
This is so cute. She stole the show at her preschool graduation by getting the party started with these adorable dance moves. Take a look. That little spin at the end says it all.
She's amazing.
5-year-old Aubrey Christina Tovey. Her dad says that they learned at a very young age that she likes the spotlight, to say the least.
That's her moment.
So let's all go into today channeling our inner Aubrey's spin for the day.
Love it.
Shall we?
Thanks, Carly.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Carly.
It is 27 minutes after the hour, and we just learned anti-Trump lover Peter Strzok had a much larger role in the Clinton-Russia probes than originally thought. And now Andrew McCabe wants immunity. Judge Andrew Napolitano here to weigh in on the brand new revelations from the FBI that's coming up.
And a major backtrack. April Ryan claiming President Trump was heckled and booed at his own White House event. How the CNN commentator was forced to change her tune and eat her own words.
Welcome back to Fox and Friends. First, we have a Fox News alert. Israel is ramping up security against Hamas-backed Palestinian protesters. Security officials threatening to kill those flying flaming kites over the border. The flames from those kites have scorched farms and forests. No one has been hurt, but tensions have escalated for months, with Israeli officers forced to gun down protesters trying to breach their border. It's official. Disgraced Army deserter Bo Bergdahl will get no prison time. A commanding general at Fort Bragg approving the sentence handed down by a military judge, demoting him from sergeant to private and fining him $10,000. He plans to appeal his dishonorable discharge. Bergdahl pleaded guilty to abandoning his post in Afghanistan back in 2009. He was a Taliban prisoner for 5 years before President Obama traded 5 Gitmo terrorists for his release.
Well, a sad story here and a heartbreaking note left behind by Kate Spade before she was found dead in her New York City apartment, apparently killing herself. The note addressing the fashion icon's 13-year-old daughter, saying, quote, "I'll always love you. This is not your fault." Family members claim that she struggled with depression for years despite her big success. Brother-in-law actor David Spade paying tribute on Instagram, saying, quote, "She was so sharp and quick on her feet, she could make me laugh so hard. I still can't believe it. It's a rough world out there, people. Try to hang on." Kate Spade was just 55 years old.
Very sad. Results are starting to pour in from 8 state primaries this morning, but all eyes on California. Democrat Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom and President Trump's pick, Republican John Cox, advancing to the state's general election. And incumbent Senator Dianne Feinstein advances through the primary despite a big field of Democratic challengers. The runner-up is still undecided. In New Jersey, Democrat Senator Bob Menendez holds on despite his recent corruption trial. Democrats need to flip 23 total seats in the House to regain control. Democrat Gavin Newsom go ahead, Rob.
All right. Moving on now. Rescuers frantically searching for survivors after a volcano in Guatemala erupts for the second time in 2 days. Rock and ash raining down on villages in Guatemala. The death toll right now in total stands at 75 people. Fears of yet another explosion forcing more than 3,000 to evacuate. And take a look at this. Brand new video showing when the volcano first erupted. It is something to see. Lava and ash rushing down the mountain at more than 400 miles per hour, wiping out, of course, entire homes and everything else in its path. And a river of lava destroying hundreds more homes on Hawaii's Big Island, among them the mayor's vacation home. This incredible aerial photo showing hardened lava completely surrounding a neighborhood. Toxic volcanic lays continuing to blanket the coastline. Lava nearly filling the entire bay there. The most active fissure shows no signs of stopping, still shooting lava more than 200 feet in the air as this continues.
Hurricane season is here, and President Trump and the First Lady will head to FEMA to discuss the nation's preparedness. The season officially began on June 1st. 2017 was one of the worst hurricane seasons on record. Back-to-back storms, Maria, Jose, Irma, and Harvey, leaving behind a path of destruction. President Trump even traveling to Texas to visit with victims of Hurricane Harvey.
And we'll go to Janice now with a check of the weather. We had that little blip a few days ago with something in the Gulf. Hopefully nothing else stirring down there, right, Janice?
We have something in the Pacific.
Okay.
Tropical storm Aletta has formed, but the good news is it will not affect land. So that's in the Pacific. They have their hurricane season, of course, here in the Atlantic. We're underway as well. Nothing on the horizon just yet, but, you know, the season is still young. So let's take a look at the last 24 hours. You do see some activity across the Gulf of Mexico, just some scattered thunderstorms as well over parts of the central U.S. where we could see the potential for more stronger storms later this afternoon and through this evening. Large hail, damaging winds, isolated tornadoes will be possible over parts of the northern plains and the central plains. So there's your severe threat through this evening. Again, the hail, the damaging winds, maybe an isolated tornado, but we're not looking at a big severe weather outbreak. And then the other big story is the heat. The heat continues for the central part of the U.S., the southern part, the southeast. However, here in the northeast, we are still into a trough pattern, meaning that temperatures are a little cooler than average. We'll warm things up later on this week.
All right. Thank you, Janice.
We'll take it. No problem.
You'll take it? Okay,
Thanks so much. 35 minutes after the hour. Illegal immigrant crackdown, a massive ICE raid busting more than 100 illegal immigrants working for a lawn and garden business.
Above and beyond the call of duty, a firefighter going viral, cradling a little girl after a car accident. That hero says this is why he does the job. He joins us live next.
Dad's gonna like the way he looks.
Welcome back. Former President Bill Clinton getting a Me Too do-over on late-night TV. This after an uncomfortable interview regarding the Monica Lewinsky scandal where he appeared to feel as though he didn't owe Lewinsky a personal apology.
It looked like I was saying I didn't apologize and I had no intention to, and I was mad at me. I apologized to my family, to Monica Lewinsky and her family, to the American people. I meant it then, I meant it now. I've had to live with the consequences every day since.
But in a Fox News exclusive, Clinton accuser Jennifer Flowers says Bill Clinton needs to face harsher consequences.
I'm advocating that Bill be prosecuted for his sex crimes. Why shouldn't he be prosecuted for rape, as Bill Cosby has, and Harvey Weinstein was just arrested? Why don't they arrest Hillary as a co-conspirator? She has been the person that has let him go and the enabler.
Clinton says he still believes in the Me Too movement, and he says it should be supported.
CNN contributor April Ryan backtracking after falsely claiming President Trump was ridiculed at a White House event instead of hosting the Philadelphia Eagles when they canceled the visit. Ryan deleting this tweet saying, quote, breaking, reporters on the South Lawn have confirmed that President Trump was heckled and booed when he came out to celebrate America. The political analyst walking that false report back in another tweet saying the boos were actually directed at a protester who, as you can see there, took a knee in the crowd, and they were not directed at President Trump.
A Tennessee fire captain going viral. Look at this picture, cuddling a baby girl moments after she was involved in a car accident.
Captain Chris Blazik responding to a wreck involving a pregnant mother and her 3 small children. Blazik picking up the little girls you saw to make sure she was okay after she had been crying, holding her until she fell asleep.
That hero firefighter, Chattanooga Fire Department Captain Chris Blazik, joins us live this morning with more on that. Thank you so much, sir, for getting up early. It's an incredible picture. You look exhausted. The baby falls asleep right there in your arms. Tell us about that moment.
Good morning. Yeah, we had just cleared a residential house fire, and we had got back to the station, and the crew was cleaning up the tools and cleaning up the truck. And I had just stepped into the shower when the tones went off again. And normally when our dispatcher, tones out a car accident, it's just that, it's a car accident. But the dispatcher involved mentioned that there was also a pregnant mother with three small children in the back seat. So that gives us a little bit of sense of urgency to get going. And when we got on scene, it was a 2-car incident. My crew immediately attended to the mother, and I started checking on the children in the back seat.
And so why did you decide to stay with this child in particular?
Well, the other 2 children were old enough to be able to speak to me, and they verified that they were okay, and so but the baby was screaming hysterically, and so I asked permission from the mother to be able to get the baby out of the car seat. And as soon as I got her out, she laid her head on my shoulder and embraced me and immediately stopped crying.
Oh.
You say this is why I do the job. I can't imagine the satisfaction that comes from this type of work where you're just constantly immersed in helping people. What was it like having that little girl just snoozing right there in your arms after crying so hysterically?
It was amazing. It was the job can definitely get rough at times, especially when you're getting woke up multiple times in the middle of the night. So having moments like this where you can just take a deep breath and be able to sit and relax and know that you're taking care of somebody, it's very gratifying.
Are you surprised at the response, and have you spoken to the family since?
I am very surprised with the response. This is definitely something that has been extremely overwhelming. It is definitely at this point, I believe, is completely out of everybody's hands and is divine intervention, showing the love of God. But no, this has taken me completely by surprise.
Well, sir, we can't thank you enough for all that you do out there. What a great picture, and to all the first responders out there, much appreciation, and thank you, sir, for coming on this morning.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys very much.
All right.
Great man. Anti-Trump FBI officials roll under the microscope. Will the truth finally come out when the feds take the hot seat? Judge Andrew Napolitano is here to weigh in.
But first, let's check in with Todd Pyro, live in Highland Falls, New York.
Hi, Todd. He's talking with voters ahead of President Trump signing the VA Mission Act. What's going on?
Was that a dog that was barking in the back? Or was that laughter? What was that?
That was the judge.
I don't know why the judge is laughing. We haven't even started. But I know Rob likes to make fun of my appetite. Rob, take a look at this. This is a red, white, and blue waffle. See, that's blueberry. There's the white, and there's the strawberry. How awesome does that look, right?
Oh, look at that.
But I know, Jillian, you were just up here.
You need some chocolate on there.
Sorry, what, Rob?
You need some chocolate on there.
Chocolate chips.
And you need some liquid chocolate.
Get some chocolate chips on there. I know, Jillian, you were just up here at the end of last year here in West Point. And if you've never been to West Point, you really need to make a trip up here. It is an unbelievable place. We're here at Andy's Restaurants, and today we're talking about the VA Mission Act. That is the bill that is a very complicated bill, but the simple takeaway is that it allows access for veterans to get better privatization, if you will. They get to visit more private clinics, more private health care for them. So we're going to be talking to the voters. What does this mean for them? many of the veterans here. Obviously, a heavy veteran area here around West Point. Does it go far enough? And what has President Trump in the White House meant for both the military and the veterans? Obviously, a big day here, June 6th. I don't think the importance of that can be underscored enough. D-Day, we are here in West Point. We can't wait. It's going to be a fun and informative next 3 hours. We hope you stay with us. Fox and Friends First returns after this.
Got the chest.
All right, dig in, Todd.
You keep eating like that, you're going to need better health care too, Todd. You
We're
better
coming
be
to see
careful.
you next, Judge.
Great point, Rob.
All right, we'll be right back. Ousted Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe now seeking immunity in exchange for his testimony.
This, as we learn, anti-Trump FBI agent Peter Strzok had a much larger role in the Russia and Clinton probes than originally thought.
Here now to weigh in is Fox News senior judicial analyst Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, thanks so much for coming on this morning.
Good morning. So this FBI management in, let's say, the tail end of the Obama years is almost like an onion, and we're peeling the onion,
Yes,
and the more
we
we peel, the more offensive it is, but the more truth the more truth we learn. It is very, very unusual. I have to tell you, unheard of for the number 2 person in the FBI saying, "You want me to testify? Give me immunity." And quite frankly, this is not the way you get immunity, by writing a public letter. You quietly go to whoever in Congress wants you to testify. You negotiate with them. Here's what I have, but I'm not going to give it to you unless you give me immunity. Now, he can't testify openly and truthfully because he's under criminal investigation. So if they subpoena him, all he's going to do is take the Fifth Amendment. It's going to be a waste of everybody's time. But if they give him immunity, then he has to testify truthfully about what he knows. Giving immunity is so extreme, so unheard of, in this environment, so volatile, I can't imagine it happening.
Isn't he a bit central to all of this?
Yes,
and
he
a
is.
bit under, investigation? That to be asking for immunity seems like a lot.
Yes, but that may, depending upon what he privately tells Senate investigators, he will say under oath in public, the Senate may actually find immunity tempting. Now, the Congress,
rolling over on other people, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Congress rarely does this. Our former colleague, Ollie North, famously was granted immunity and then was prosecuted and was convicted, and the conviction was overturned because they used his own words against him, even though those words were immunized. It's a complex area of the law. Congress doesn't like to get involved in it. The courts don't like when it happens, but Congress has the power to do it. Basically, Congress says, if you testify truthfully, none of your words can be used against you in the prosecution of you.
So how do you see this playing out?
I don't think there's
Deep breath.
I don't think because I don't think there's an appetite in Congress to grant this guy immunity. He is so disliked by Republicans. I just don't see it happening. And of course, it's a Republican Congress.
But would he be rolling over on Comey, on Strzok, on Page? I mean, who would he be rolling over?
That's his argument. He'd be rolling over on somebody they dislike more. Right. And that would probably be either Jim Comey or, a little below the radar screen, and we're seeing her name more and more, Loretta Lynch. The meeting with Clinton on the tarmac, the removal of herself from the Clinton investigation, even though she did a lot to push it off the front burner, is becoming more and more apparent to us.
So you're heading to the Hill today. Tell us what's going
this
on.
is kind of exciting. I've done so many things in my legal career. This I have never done. I'm testifying before the House Homeland Security Committee on the constitutionality of a piece of legislation that would transfer from the Congress to the President the power to make war. This is perhaps the most important piece of legislation Congress will vote on. I'm going to argue they should vote against it. Because when James Madison wrote the Constitution, he made it very, very clear we have given Congress the power to declare war, not the President, because we only want wars fought when there's a broad national consensus behind them. And Congress establishes these consensuses, not the President. See how
We've been in some wars for a long time.
Yes.
Afghanistan for 17 years.
Yes, we have, and we fight wars now without a declaration.
And you got to do this on your birthday?
Right.
Is that right? You got to go to Capitol Hill on your birthday?
Got it, Mike.
Look at this.
Just as soon not even say,
oh my
God.
Why? You got to give it to the judge.
Thank you.
Yeah, why didn't you give it to me, Kim?
Thank you, guys.
Here you go.
But at my age, you just as soon not think about birthdays.
Now we got 2 minutes. You got to eat the whole thing.
Okay. Hey, Mother, thank you for this. I'm not going to give the number of years ago, but thank you.
That's right.
We hope you have a wonderful birthday.
Thank you. God bless.
Happy birthday. Thanks for coming.
And we want a piece of that.
That's right. Okay. 53 minutes after the hour. We love a birthday. Cops and firefighters teaming up to throw the most epic birthday party ever. Speaking of birthdays, how they went above and beyond the call of duty.
And this woman sound asleep on the side of the road. How she reacts when a police officer tries to wake her up. Yikes.
That looks good.
Somebody bought around, so we're drinking again. We're on